Hello and welcome to another Campfire Gaming Podcast. My name is Matt. I will be your host tonight. We are excited to have you. We've got an action-packed episode coming at you tonight. We will be covering... wow, we need some crowd noises or something. Wow, yeah, crowd. Well, since you're chatting here, I'll introduce you. Rich. Rich will be joining me tonight. How are you doing, Rich?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. In a good mood. Ready to talk about games. And what we have, as we started to mention, an action-packed episode. We have the Nintendo Direct. It literally just happened. Rich and I, for the most part, pretty much just finished watching it. So we're gonna cover some exciting highlights from the Direct. We got a little
or not
bit more,
so exciting. I don't know.
or not. Yeah, I guess, depending on if you're a Nintendo fan.
Depending on how into it you are. Yeah.
We'll be hitting on some more NFT stuff. There was a little bit of news this week. We'll be chatting with you about that. A little bit more information also came out around the Sony acquisition of Bungie. So again, some more of that. Other than that, we'll be covering a couple other different games, some some Google Stadia news, some Battlefield news, some Halo news, and yeah, just a fun-filled episode here for you today. But before we kick it off, please check out campfiregamingpodcast.com. There you will find our links to our social media sites. Go ahead and head on over there and like and subscribe our various platforms. Your Twitters at Camp Game Pod, your YouTubes, your Instagrams, all that other fun stuff. It also has a list of popular places where you can find our podcast. Since you're listening to this, you probably already found it. So anyways, thank you for listening.
Also join our Discord.
Yes, and the Discord.
Yep. We want to hear from you. We want your feedback, and we want to chat with you. So be sure to jump on our Discord and give us a shout. Maybe one of these times you could play some games with us. We like to play Halo, Hell Let Loose, all that kind of stuff. So we'd love to have you along with.
We also usually have it kind of varies on depending on when these like the Nintendo Direct whenever they air. We kind of have live conversations as they happen depending on who's available. I know I was still working when it first started, but we had about three or four of you in here chatting while it was going on. So it was fun to get it all spoiled before I was able to sit down and watch it.
Right. Well, sort of. I mean, we were kind of vague about it in some cases, but yeah, if you were following along with the notes I was taking, then yeah, you were probably getting it all spoiled.
Yeah. But yes, come join our Discord. But anyway, without further ado, we will kick it off with the Nintendo Direct. So there was a lot of games shown, but as we said, we'll kind of get to the highlights here. One of the big games that was shown was Fire Emblem Warriors 3. Was it 3 Hopes? I thought it was some 3 Houses.
3 Houses? I thought it was 3 Hopes.
3 Hopes. One of those Fire Emblem games. But yeah, what did you think about that, Rich?
Wasn't it 3 Warriors? I don't remember. I took some pretty dog shit notes, didn't I?
We were doing it while it was live, and again hopped right into recording. So.
Yeah, I was frantically trying to type and
bear with us. I know you. Yeah. But anyways, that'll be coming June 24th.
Oh, it is 3 Hopes. It is a 3 Hopes.
Is it 3 Hopes? And what was I?
Yeah. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes.
What am I drinking?
Right.
There you go.
Yep. No, but 3 Houses is another Fire Emblem game. So, I mean, you're not wrong. It just wasn't this one.
I was going to say, I feel we've talked about Fire Emblem Warriors before whenever we've had some other people on. So
Right. And that was one of the games that they that Nintendo had kicked it off with was Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. It's another, of course, Warriors game. It's got Warriors in the title, so you're going to be beating up lots of baddies all at once. Similar to Hyrule Warriors, Dynasty Warriors. It's a Dynasty Warriors similar. Supposedly these games have been focusing a lot on the story, which some people are liking, but I've never been a big Fire Emblem fan, so it's kind of missed on my radar. In other news, we are getting an update to Metroid Dread. We're just kind of covering the highlights in no particular order. This is just some of the stuff that we plucked out. This was 40 minutes of Nintendo. They showed quite a few games that they were either releasing or updating or things like that. So this is just a kind of a condensed list.
Things that we thought were exciting.
Sure, yeah. So Metroid Dread is getting an update. They're adding in something called Dread Mode. Basically, it's like a hardcore playthrough of the game. So if you get hit, game over. Like
You
if you get
dead.
if you get hit, if you take damage, you are dead and the game is over.
Yep.
Um,
Wipes your Nintendo system, like
yeah.
all like even like the system operating
And
system
an
too.
executive from Nintendo will come over and like brick your system with a hammer. On the flip side, they got rookie mode. So basically, it's you got like faster regen, things like that. Just more so to get people who are not so familiar with the Metroid series into the game is how they described it.
Yeah, someone like me if I ever pick it up. A
Which you
Switch and
could
Metroid.
if you end up getting a Switch, you definitely could, and you could probably play on rookie mode. And while you're at it, you could get the Prima guide for it.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's out now. So if you're a Metroid Dread fan, go download the patch. But along with that, they're getting a new boss rush mode, which is coming in April. Along with that, I mean, we had a couple, not much in the Nintendo Switch Online camp, other than they are going to be adding Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings to the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So if you're into retro gaming and you want to play Earthbound yet again, this is another chance to play Earthbound. So
Lucky us.
go forward and play that. One of the big headlines, this was the game that they kind of tailed off the entire event with, was a cinematic trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles. There's gameplay in it too, so it's not entirely a cinematic trailer, but it was a trailer nonetheless for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This is going to be releasing sometime in September of this year. If you are a Xenoblade fan, be sure to let us know, because I know very little about Xenoblade, but I do know a lot about the next game that we're going to talk about. They have announced this already, so that is nothing new, but Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp.
If I ever get that Switch, I might have to get this because everybody's always talking about Advance Wars.
1,000%. If you get a Switch, you should buy this, and then
Yep.
you and I can play this, and then we can get Mike in, because I know for a fact Mike is going to be getting this because it's Advance Wars, and we haven't gotten a new Advance Wars in quite a while, and it would be really nice to get. I mean, I think when this first got announced, I was a little bit whiny about it because I was like, well, it's a reboot, like. I'm glad that I got Advance Wars, but I kind of wanted like new Advance Wars. I'm kind of hoping that's in the works, but I guess I'll take Advance Wars Reboot Camp because at least they're still recognizing that Advance Wars is still really cool. So if you're not familiar with Advance Wars, it's a turn-based strategy game where you move around little soldiers and tanks and things like that. It's a tactics game, but it's
Looked
kind of
like it was
got some.
adding a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So they're going to be adding in some like, I guess what they described it as like some destructible like terrain and things like that. New game modes, stuff to kind of change up the way that the game is actually played. They talked about adding in voice lines for the characters. So if you were always dreaming of hearing what Nell sounds like, now is the perfect opportunity to listen to her speak. Along with that, some of the things that are pretty nice is that they're going to be adding in. I mean, this isn't something new to Advance Wars, but custom maps. So custom maps have always been a thing in Advance Wars, going all the way back, but you can share them now. So now that we have this thing called the internet, and this device can actually hook up to said internet, we can share these custom maps, which will be really, really fun, especially for the next bullet point here is local and online multiplayer. Again, local multiplayer has always been a thing. A link cable did exist, and that did help with the local multiplayer. But we're going to be able to have online multiplayer for Advance Wars. Probably the first time ever since the browser version of Advance Wars got released, but that's not licensed by Nintendo as far as I know. So, custom maps, online multiplayer. April 8th, we'll be able to get our hands on that.
So I need to get a Switch between now and April.
Yeah, you should. You should have gotten a Switch a long time ago, because
I know.
there are tons of good games out there for it, man.
I mentioned it before we started, but I had it in my cart in GameStop and Amazon. One last week and one 2 weeks ago, and I didn't buy it. I don't know, something stopped me from hitting that purchase button. So I was close. I'm getting closer.
You're getting just like Mike, if you're listening right now, we need to just push Matt hard right now because he is
Yep.
on the cliff's edge and he is just looking down at this point.
We also need stores to get him back in stock. So
That too. That too. Speaking of kart, Mario Kart is getting some DLC. I'm not sure. Like, you'll have to let me know how you feel about this. I don't know how I feel. Like, I don't know if I really truly like the way that they're going about this, but they're basically bringing in essentially a Mario Kart DLC battle pass.
yeah.
So they're adding in a whole bunch of new courses, 48 courses to be exact. It's going to be coming out periodically over the course of the next year. So by the end of 2023, all 48 maps will be in the game. And a lot
hmm
of these maps are going to be like remastered tracks from, like Super Mario Kart 64, the Wii versions, the game, Super Mario Kart on the GameCube. Basically any even Game Boy, one of
Yeah.
the
Game
Game
Boy
Boy
was in there.
ones. Yep. Even the Game Boy version of Mario Kart was getting some tracks remastered. So the weird thing about this is that it's gonna be available come March 18th. It's gonna be $25, or if you are a subscriber to the Nintendo Online expansion pack, it's going to be included. I don't know how I feel about this. This is kind of another one of those like pay for it now but get it later, and a lot can change in a year, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what do you think about that?
It's kind of normal, I guess. If as far as it being included in the expansion pack, I know there was some people were unhappy with the value of that back when it was first announced. So them adding this in there kind of adds a little more value. So I guess it's kind of good there. But yeah, I mean, I guess I've never really been a huge fan of these battle passes stuff. Buying stuff now and then in the future you're going to get it. So, I mean, I'd say it's good news overall. 48 new maps or courses from various eras of Mario Kart. I think is pretty
Right.
cool, especially as somebody who is looking to get a Switch at some point and who has largely not really played Mario Kart over the last 20 years or so. I mean, I've played the various versions, but never like I haven't owned a Nintendo system since I think the Game Boy. So the OG one, you know,
The gray one.
the VCR, tape sized one. So yellow screen, right?
Right, right, right.
For me, that's exciting that they're adding all these courses in, and I'll be able to play them when I get around to purchasing Mario Kart and a Switch. But um, yeah, I'm not a fan of these business decisions where it's give us all your money up front and maybe we'll get
Yeah.
it to you on time.
Right, and we're gonna
We
give
have
it to you over the course of a year even. I mean, like,
we have
48
a
courses is a lot of courses, but yeah, you're gonna be getting it in 6 iterations over the course of an entire
mhm,
year's worth of stuff. So, I
yeah.
mean, I don't know, yeah, I don't like the fact that I'm buying it now to get something a year later that I might be uninterested in a year. Like, that
Mhm.
seems like a really long time. But, I mean, $25 though, I don't know.
It's not terrible.
Not much, but
I
at
mean,
the
for
same
somebody
time,
like us at 25
yeah,
bucks, yeah, whatever. But um, yeah, no, we'll see how that turns out. So again, there's mixed results from games that do things like this. I have
right,
one to talk about later. So
right. Also in the Mario camp, we got a reveal for this Nintendo Direct of Mario Strikers Battle League. So there's a new Mario sports game coming in. If you can guess, this one is a soccer variant. It's
what?
it's kind of it kind of looks like a Mario FIFA is like how it kind of
Yeah,
looked.
like like a Mario, like FIFA meets Mario meets Rocket League,
Kinda, yeah.
kind
Like
of.
you don't have so much control over like what looks to be like like the physics of the ball,
hmm
but you're trying to move your players around. Yeah, like in kind of like a FIFA sense. So it's a from what they described, it was a 5v5 kind of game. You're going to have like a shop and all that, and you're going to collect, of course, it's a Mario game. You collect coins, and then you're going to use those coins to buy items to, help with like your shooting and your, running and your speed and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you're basically going to be able to kit out the various characters on
hmm
your team, which is interesting.
I thought it was a cool idea. This is like
Yeah,
this is common for me with a lot of Nintendo games. Is they're games that look really cool, but probably not something I'd play, right? Uh, and this is one of those games. I was like, this kind of actually looks really interesting. It's pretty cool that your characters you can collect gear, and then yeah, you want to be able to more accurately pass the ball or have a stronger hit or whatever other things they showed there. I think there was 4 or 5 stats that you can adjust, um, based on what gear you're wearing. So
right.
it was kind of a cool idea, and it's Mario. I mean, so it should be pretty fun.
I mean, I can't pick out a whole lot of Mario sports games that aren't fun. I seriously can't. I
Yeah.
have no idea. I don't know if there was a Mario game or a Mario sports game that hasn't been enjoyable.
Hmm.
We also got a look at Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Um, they showed off a nice lengthy trailer for this. It's going to be available March 20. Oh yeah, Mario Strikers Battle League will be coming. I didn't finish up with this one yet. June 10th. So, and it's going to include online play. So you can match up with four of your three other people. It's a 4v4 online play, and you're going to be able to form like clubs and things like that. So I don't know if we can convince Matt to get Mario Strikers, maybe we can start up the Campfire
League.
Strikers Club or something like
Strikers
that.
League. Yeah.
Yeah. So June 10th for Mario Strikers Battle League. Okay, now to Kirby and the Forgotten Land
There you go.
after I've already spoiled it. March 25th. They got something in here called mouthful mode. Basically, you can eat a lot of things like lights, cars, elevators, I mean, Kirby eats stuff. That's kind of what he
A
does.
car. It was like
Yeah, a whole
I laughed
car.
when he
Yeah,
sucked in a car, but and he was
and you're
driving
driving around.
around. Or
Yeah,
was it the soda machine and you spitting out soda like
you're shooting
cans? Yeah,
sodas out of his mouth.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of interesting looking. So it's another Kirby adventure. It looks kind of cool. Um,
It's one of those. I haven't played Kirby since Kirby's Dream Land. Again, I know it's been a while, but this one actually looked pretty fun. This is one of those, and also one of those ones that looks fun. That if I ever get a Switch, might
you should
look into
Yeah,
buying.
another one that you could probably add to the library. I'm not lying, man. Like the Switch is definitely one of those consoles. It's the only console where I've actually like regularly purchased games for.
Hmm.
Like my Xbox, I have not touched. I have not touched my Xbox in so long, and I have not bought games for my Xbox in so long. But my Switch, I'm still buying games regularly.
Hmm. Well, you don't have to buy games for Xbox
Not all of them.
because you got Game Pass.
That's true. Thank you. Wouldn't be an episode.
I was ready that time.
We got a little bit of information about Splatoon 3. They showed off Salmon Run. And that was pretty much it. We got a trailer, or we got basically a trailer for Salmon Run.
Is that a mode that's been in the other
I
one and
believe
two?
so.
Okay,
Yep.
it looked
Yep.
pretty interesting. Is it kind of just like a horde mode, or survive
I've never.
and collect enough of what was it, eggs?
Yeah, it looks like it's more of it's like a co-op-y PVE sort of a mode.
Hmm.
At least with and this one, what they had in the trailer is that you had like different kinds of bosses and things like that would jump into the arena and cause havoc and all that, and you had to do a bunch of stuff to make them go away.
Yeah,
Yep. So Splatoon 3 still showing off good stuff, I guess.
still coming sometime this year. There was no release date on that one.
No,
So
there was it says summer. That's all that they gave, is that there was summer. All right. So of all that was kind of like the big highlights from our perspective. I mean, we can give some honorable mentions here. There was like I said, there were a ton of games.
yep.
If you want to see all of them, go for it. Check it out. They had a couple of JRPGs that are getting remasters. They definitely had a lot of collections. A lot of collections in this Nintendo Direct. So if there's something that could be surprising to you, go for it and
Hmm.
check it out. But just a couple of honorable mentions. They had MLB The Show is coming, and the only reason I'm mentioning that is because wow, that game looked terrible. Just saying.
Yeah, it was one of those like it looks pretty good on PC, or is it on PC on consoles, but it got downgraded too much to work on the Switch.
Yeah,
It doesn't look good.
it looked like someone forgot to turn on um uh uh someone turned on the LODs and someone forgot to turn on anti-aliasing.
Yeah.
Is what it looked like. Because yes, it did look very gross. There's a Kingdom Hearts collection that's going to be available for cloud. So you're going to have a 3 game, all three, what was it? Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3. It's called the Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece for cloud.
It's a lot.
There's a lot to say. Yeah. Clona and Clona 2. Klonoa and Klonoa 2. That's going to be available soon. And then we got, they're doing kind of like an update on the Nintendo's, basically Wii Sports. They're bringing out Nintendo Switch Sports. So you're going to get some of the classics like golf, volleyball, or not. I don't think golf was a classic, but yeah, you get
Golf is coming later. I think. What was
golf
it?
is coming
Volleyball is
later.
new.
Volleyball is new. Your badminton is also new, but you also get bowling, which is a classic one. You get tennis, which was a classic one, that was the one I meant to say. Tennis and bowling. So that's going to be coming. I don't remember if they had a release date on that one. I don't think they did.
I don't think it's
a new taiko drum game that you can play up to 4 players with. So Taiko no Tatsujin. My Japanese is pretty bad, so yeah, I don't know. I think I said it right.
Do I have to play this game? Do I have to get the DK Bongo set or whatever?
Yes, you do, or at least you will. I don't know if it's actually required. Of course, No Man's Sky getting ported to the Nintendo Switch. I think we already knew that one though. Disney's coming out with a kart racer called Disney Speedstorm. It's going to be a free-to-play racing game, which is going to be interesting. Knowing that it's a Disney game, being that it's a Disney game, I'm sure that they're going to monetize the living hell out of it.
I'm guessing skins, new karts, racers, all the good stuff.
Yep. Pay money to automatically win a race, that sort of a thing. That's being released this summer as well. And then Portal is also coming to the Nintendo Switch with the Portal Companion Collection. I believe that is Portal 1 and 2.
Correct.
Which you can also play the co-op on Nintendo Switch Online. That'll be coming later this year.
Yeah, some good stuff there. You know, and I think that's exciting because I think Portal and MLB The Show, this is the first time on the Switch, I believe, or on a Nintendo console.
I think so. Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, Orange Box made it to. I know Orange Box made it to the Xbox,
but I don't think it ever came to a Nintendo system. So
no, I don't think so either.
If you're a Nintendo fan and only a Nintendo fan, you've never played it, Portal, definitely go check it out. Portal 1 and 2 are great.
So. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good thing I'm glad that Nintendo is getting ports. Well, granted, Portal and Portal 2 are, 14 to close to 18-year-old games at this point in time, something like that. Pretty close. I think Portal came out in 2005, 2006. I have to go back and remember. It's old. We'll just say that. It's old.
2007 for Portal, looks like. And then 2 was, that would have been like 2011. So 2007 and 2011.
Yeah. So better late than never, but it's a pretty old game to bring onto the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just a couple more honorable mentions. Zombie Army 4, Dead War, Demon Slayer, Lego Brawls, 2 Point Campus. These are all being moved over to the Switch, and those are all coming within this year.
Yeah, I'll throw a comment there on one of the honorable mentions is Zombie Army 4 Dead War is actually a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of like those Left 4 Deads, or I know we've talked about it before, the World War Z game, it's kind of similar fashion. It's a lot of fun. I haven't played a ton of it. I think I've gotten, there's like 4 or 5, I'll say, campaigns. I think I've gotten through 2 of them with a buddy. We're a little slow. We're a little slow. So, but yes, that whole, like, you can, I think it's up to 4 people, kind of safe house to safe house type situation. But
sure.
Majority of the weapons are, I think it's based off of like a sniper or something like that. So a lot of the weapons are like
the Sniper
single
Elite.
shot. Yeah, a lot of them are like single shots. So it makes it more more interesting and fun in a different way, as opposed to running and gunning with some of the other ones. So
Yeah, I think I've only played like one of those games out of the series.
yeah,
It's been a while,
yeah, I think
but
that's the only one I've played. No, I played a little bit of 3 as well.
all
So
right.
with our audio engineer for what is he for? Dan and I used to play a little bit of that. So,
Sure, sure.
but
But that's going to wrap it for our Nintendo Direct coverage. Like I said, we're
yeah,
going to keep it fairly short and sweet. If you want to see the whole thing, you can check out Nintendo Direct on YouTube.
or we'll another plug for the Discord. We usually throw a lot of the links up to these videos, and as I said, discuss them as well. So
Yep.
you can always swing out to our Discord. So good times. Yep, and good direct. So moving on here, the hot topic, as we've I think talked about 3 or 4 times already this year,
Mm-hmm.
NFTs. NFTs.
Yay.
Hey, this is going to keep popping up in our news episodes. So, interesting thing that happened this week. If I can talk, Team 17,
There you go.
owners of the Worms franchise.
And one of our
They
favorite games. Well, not the owners, they're the publisher.
they recently, I don't think we reported on this, but they recently bought the IP to Hell Let Loose. So
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
they don't own the studio, but I think they own the IP now. So
Cool.
um, but yeah, so they announced a new project called Meta Worms NFT. And needless to say, as with most of this news, if you've paid attention to any of it at all, is the internet was very quick to react. So within, I think it was less than 24 hours after the media got a hold of it, and Twitter and some of their publishing or development partners got a hold of this news. There was uh, a lot of people that weren't happy with this decision. So with I think it was less than 24 hours, Team 17 announced that they will be canceling the MetaWorms project. So um, yeah, there wasn't. I don't think there was a lot on what they were going to do with this game other than the worms. We're all going to be different little goofy NFTs that you could acquire. Um, but yeah, it was just kind of a interesting uh, interaction, an event that took place in about 24 hours. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do
I don't,
you have any thoughts on kind of what unfolded here?
oh, I mean, honestly, I don't think that this is super surprising at this point. I mean, I know that a lot of the gaming community, especially right now, is really, really cynical towards NFTs. And I mean, personally, I can't blame them. I'm not super hip on NFTs. I don't really care about wanting to purchase any of them or any like participate in a lot of this stuff. Um, and I think just with how much the gaming community has been through with, sort of these like kind of corporate buzzwords and the different sort of predatory monetary tactics being used to games, this is probably why a lot of gamers get a very knee jerk reaction to stuff like this. Not saying it's not justified, but I feel like this is probably what could explain that. It's just like time and time again, with whether it be Blizzard, EA, um, Activision, like, the whole gambit. What gamers don't want to see is a lot of their favorite franchises kind of fall into like the sort of cynical corporate sort of money making schemes. And that's what they view it as. I'm not saying that that is what it is, but I'm saying that that's my guess as to what they view it as. Is it's just a very cynical, like, here's an easy way for us to make money by selling things that are largely not real.
Yeah, this was a interesting event that unfolded. So
Yes. And I
was it
mean,
a
and this isn't the only thing, right? Like everybody's getting like, and this isn't just a Team 17 thing. Everybody's getting pushback on
uh,
NFTs. A lot of gamers are not thrilled with the
mhm,
idea. And I mean, even to a degree, there's a lot of, I think just a couple weeks ago reported on a lot of, game developers even are not
yep.
super thrilled with that either. That was just 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, I know Ubisoft Quartz. I think that happened over our break. We did chat about it a little bit, but I know that got a large amount of pushback.
Yeah.
and a lot of these larger publishers kind of came out saying they were working on various blockchain or crypto NFT things with their company, and I know those have generally been met with resistance from the community.
Yes.
Um, but I mean, there has been a few people, and one of them, surprisingly, was EA. I know Sega, I think, was a similar one that we reported on a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But I know EA also this week kind of I'd say maybe adjusted their standpoint on what they're going to be doing with blockchain and crypto and NFTs moving in the future. I think some of the problem here and where I'm a little skeptical about it in the gaming industry is it sounds like a lot of this has been like you said, buzzwords for the last year, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people aren't sure how it fits into the various communities, in this case the gaming community. And I think a lot of those companies were jumping headfirst in without understanding how it's going to apply to gaming and stuff. And we saw with EA this week where the CEO, I think this was during one of their earning calls, CEO Andrew Wilson kind of came out and said they're not driving hard on NFT projects right now. I'm guessing
Do you think
probably
that was because
between
of the pushback? A lot of
I
the
think
pushback
it's
that everybody's facing.
Yeah, I think it's largely due to that. But I'd like to think it's more of they just aren't sure how it's going to work in the gaming community here, and realizing they did kind of jump headfirst in without realizing, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how is this going to improve and better a gamer's experience or a video game or something like that. So I think we might see again. We saw that a little bit with Sega. We saw it now here with EA. I
And we
think.
saw it with Konami too, with the Castlevania
Yep.
NFTs, right? I mean, they got a lot of pushback on that too.
I think this is more geared towards the metaverse, but I think Phil Spencer too, as far as Microsoft and Xbox are concerned, they're not opposed to a lot of this stuff, but it's they're more approaching it of how can we use this new technology and these new ideas to create like kind of new experiences instead of just right off the bat, oh, we're using it, we're doing it, and
Right. Just
you know,
diving in head first and being like, oh,
let's
okay, what are we swimming in?
let's figure this out as we go. We don't know, just do it.
Right.
But
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely it definitely seems like they've kind of pulled back on the hype wagon a little bit, which I mean, yeah, for good reason. Like this a lot of people don't really know what they're going to do with these NFTs, and right now, yeah, a lot of the gaming community is not too hot on the idea right now because yeah, the very like I said, the very cynical take is that, they're using it to kind of utilize their existing IPs and franchises and their assets, and they can make easy money off of very little effort. And that's by selling NFTs for a lot of stuff. What they do with it, I don't know. But, if they want to do more than what Konami did and just sell a couple of like gifts or something like that, just a little image, they're probably going to get some pushback until something really substantial comes out of this, or they make it so that it's not so like it's not that they're just like going right after the wallet, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, we'll have to kind of see how this all develops. And as we said
Mhm.
at the beginning of the year, this is going to be a hot
Right.
topic
That's
this year.
the Yep, that's exactly what's gonna like 2021 kind of came in with the NFT thing, and then 2022 like this is gonna be like the year of the NFT and the metaverse, kind of like what we said a couple weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, and kind of to guess a funny thing to kind of look back on, the things Horse Armor started, man. Loot boxes.
Loot boxes, horse armor.
Oh,
Oh man, yep, yeah.
thank you,
Can you
Bethesda.
imagine? Yeah, can you imagine what? Can you imagine just like how much shit gamers have gone through in the last like 10 years, just the last decade alone, without just like the cynical corporatism and all that, and just
It's
being
just a
sold snake oil on all sorts of garbage and
somebody should make a like a Terminator spoof where instead of like somebody created Skynet to be helpful, and then obviously it turned into, Judgment Day and all that fun stuff. We go, oh, whoever's idea it was to do horse armor, they're like, thought, oh, this would be a cool idea, and then, oh, here, this is what it turned into.
Couple guys make some NFTs thinking that they're just selling some cool art, and then it just turns out they end up ending the world or something like that.
Oh,
That sounds like a Simon Pegg comedy.
yeah. I'd watch it.
I would watch it.
I like Simon Pegg.
I do too.
But yeah, got anything else on any other thoughts on the NFT stuff?
No, we're going to be covering this so much.
Yeah. Move on while we can.
Yeah, let's just go.
So as we mentioned, there was a little bit more information. We on the Sony acquisition of Bungie, we got a little bit more information. It kind of confirms the theory I believe I had. I'm gonna take it as my own. I don't remember if it was an original idea or if I read it somebody else's idea somewhere. But we're seeing that Sony's kind of plan with Bungie is as we know, Bungie's going to still kind of essentially remain independent and kind of do their own thing.
So
we're wondering why.
Yep.
But we're seeing that Sony wants to release 10 live service games by 2026. And Bungie was acquired, one, because they're a great company, but two, because they have experience of, what are we at now? Almost, I think, 10 years of Destiny, shipping and maintaining and building a live service game. So, again, I don't remember if it was my original idea. We're going to say it was, but my idea of them purchasing Bungie was exactly for that, to bring them on and bring their expertise on to help them share that experience while Sony shares their money with them and try to build whatever these new live service games are.
Right. And that's not the only thing that they're going to be utilizing either.
So
the other fun word that we like to bring up. Go ahead, Matt.
Some news, actually, again, kind of similar to what happened with Activision, where we found out there was almost a deal between Activision and EA. Some other news came out that there was actually almost a deal that went through, which actually might still be a little bit true. But there was almost a deal that went through that had Bungie partnering and using Google Stadia. They would have remained independent, but kind of, worked there with Google Stadia. They already have Destiny 2 on Stadia, and it's a very small portion, but they have a small community that play regularly. But yeah, that was kind of some interesting news. Now, to follow on with that is, even though Sony has acquired Bungie, with Bungie still remaining independent and them having Destiny 2 on Stadia and their future plans to do more with streaming, there's a good chance that there still could be some sort of partnership there with them, with Google Stadia. So, yeah.
Or at least the tech, not necessarily the game service, right?
Correct.
Just to clarify.
Sorry. Yep. The tech behind Google Stadia. Yep. The game streaming.
Right.
So, if you don't have any thoughts, we'll kind of move on to the next topic, which also relates to this one as well.
No. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean,
let's keep rolling then.
Which is kind of funny, right? That we bring, it's funny that we bring this up, and it lends some more credence to it because, yeah, Google Stadia is in the process of doing a rebranding.
Surprise!
Right. So Stadia is going to be rebranded to Google Stream, is what is that's what it's going to be called now. Basically, they're repurposing the tech behind Stadia, and they're going to, of course, partner with other companies to utilize that streaming service. So, if they want to use this for live service titles and games and things like that, Google is now making it available for companies to use this streaming tech.
Yep.
Now, I don't think that this means that Stadia itself is going away, right? Like, that's not what I don't think that that's what they're saying, is that they're shutting down Stadia as a service.
I didn't see any of that, but I try not to crap on them because we spent like 2 years doing it. But like,
what's another year?
It's from literally before it launched. It's a lot of what we actually said is like they kind of jumped into this. They didn't have a plan. A lot of their features were late, and I haven't it's been forever. There might be some that haven't even been delivered yet.
Right.
Um,
And it
but
hasn't necessarily been the tech that we've been super critical of. It's the fact that they're trying to sell games along with this streaming tech. Like the fact that, you're able to utilize this tech for game streaming, really cool idea. Charging players for full copies of these games on a service that may or may not exist within 5 years, that's a risky move, and that's something that a lot of people are
mhm,
not going to want to jump ship into and rebuy their library because they can't play their library on Google Stadia.
if
that
it
was
goes, yeah,
that's what we've ripped it up and down for, right? Is more so it's the business model of their Stadia games, not so much that they have neat streaming tech. And it sounds like from what Mike is saying, works really well and he loves it.
yeah, yeah.
He thoroughly enjoys using Google Stadia for the games that he does play on it.
When I had what is it, a demo week or something like that, way back when, it works. And when we did all those tests of the various streaming services,
Oh yeah,
it works
yeah.
well. But I mean, yeah, it was that whole, skeptical on if this would just end up in the the alphabet graveyard or whatever,
Right, yeah.
right?
Going in the dumpster with a lot of other Google services and tech because that's what Google does. I mean, they kind of build something. Oh, it's not super successful, or even if it is kind of successful, I mean, we'll work on it for a while, get bored, and dump it in the graveyard. Like that's what
Yeah.
they do.
And then their missteps again from before they launched up until I think the most recent was maybe 6 months ago when we last reported. The missteps of again promising all these features, but very quietly announcing that like half of them weren't going to be ready. I think was it
Right.
only it was like a year or something after that achievements were added and little things like that. There was some I think there was something around game sharing or streaming or something like right. It was just this whole here's all these features you're going to get. Um, and then again, a bunch of them were not ready at launch. Along with they had all these studios that they were working on because they were trying to build up a first
Right.
party, but they were slowly shutting those
Dropping. They were
those
shutting
down.
them down. They were, yeah, they were losing first parties. That sort of, they were losing um they were losing deals that they were making with other studios, and yeah, a lot of people just didn't want to work with Google to put their games on their service.
Yeah. So again, to me, it wasn't. Yeah, to your point. Well, to your point, it was never really anything about the tech. We tried it. Mike's tried it.
It's
It
good tech,
it's good tech.
just a
It was
bad
more.
business model.
It was their model and how they approached certain things that is why they took a lot of heat from our podcast. So
Yep. Yep.
and we're
No
kind of
offense,
assholes.
Google. Yeah,
and we're
I
kind of
mean,
assholes.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. We
I
got
think
we'll
I
be
think it was
fair.
more like we saw these issues and it was like, come on, Google, you're a bazillion-dollar company. How don't you see
Yeah, like
these issues too?
you pay people how much money to work at your company, and I
And you just
mean,
shut them down. Get rid of their yeah. Anyways,
yep, yep.
on to some kind of some quick updates. I think that's most of the meat and potatoes of the episode, but we got a little bit more for you here. It has finally been confirmed because we didn't know already that
But
Grand Theft Auto 6 is in active development. The good news here is
you
uh,
don't say.
probably the kind of surprise like news is that apparently it's well underway. Um,
Oh, I mean, it's
so
only been how many years? Almost 10 years since Grand Theft Auto 5 launched.
yeah,
I would hope so.
yeah, it's just. Did we ever get the next gen version the day of 5 launch? I don't remember because didn't that get
I think that's actually coming soon.
the
Didn't
holidays
we?
were all a blur because I thought it got
Yeah,
delayed into this year. But yeah,
yeah.
so you
Isn't
still
it
have
this
another
month?
version of 5 coming. So.
Yeah. Yep. They're trying to go for, yeah, they're trying to beat launches with Skyrim.
Yeah, right. That'll be on your fridge too. When did Grand Theft Auto launched? September 17th, 2013. So
2013. All right. So
9 years.
it's 9 years old. Only 9 years old.
Yep. Oh
Again, I
man.
want to that's just I think that's really funny. I mean, granted, like Grand Theft Auto 5 was a very very ambitious game and there was a lot to it. At the same time, I mean, the 2000s decade, we had a lot of Grand Theft Auto games.
Wasn't it like 6 of them or something like that?
Yeah, it
5 or
was. Yeah, it was like what Grand Theft Auto 3 in 2000. You had Grand Theft Auto Vice City, San Andreas. You had Grand Theft Auto 4, two expansion packs to that. I believe it was two. Yeah, there's a lot of Grand Theft Auto, and I think there were some like Game Boy titles and DS titles and things like that. There's a lot of
yeah,
Grand Theft Auto.
and yep. Um, so I'm hoping maybe at, E3 or Summer Game Fest or whatever kind of events we end up having this summer that, maybe they'll show, like, finally you know,
Like
announce it.
proper announcement. That would be
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. I mean, I like Grand Theft Auto. I'm not going to
yeah,
shit on it. Like
yeah.
GTA 5 was a wonderful game 9 years ago. Not saying it's not great now, but it's 9 years old, man.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Skyrim. It's like,
Yeah, Skyrim's 11 years old.
come on.
It's time to move on. Yeah. But
Um,
we do have confirmation at least that that game is, being developed.
yep. Some other good news in EA's earning call. They reported that Skate 4, or what it's actually going to be called, Skate, will launch soon. TM, right? Soon TM.
Soon TM.
Um, so again, very similar to that, kind of well underway with Grand Theft Auto. Soon could
That could
I'm
mean a lot
gonna
of things.
to me it means sometime this year, but who knows? Um, but yes, it's coming. It'll have user generated content,
Woo!
and
Park Builder.
yeah. So
I hope.
hopefully it's better than Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Wasn't that was a train wreck one, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. I didn't play it.
I watched videos. I Yeah,
Okay.
was not going to buy it.
I'll take
It
your word
was
for it.
it was supposed to be really bad, and yeah. Anyways, also Skate and Tony Hawk are two very different games.
Very
So
different games.
skateboarding games, but different. A little bit of news from Platinum Games. Their CEO, they're Bayonetta, right? I should have wrote that down here. I'm not as
Yes.
familiar with it. Yeah. So their CEO, or their new CEO, mentioned how they want to make larger and riskier games. Some of those games he would like to be live service games. So
Very risky.
yeah, just another studio jumping on into live
The
service.
live service bandwagon.
But kind of in more interesting news around Platinum Games, it came out that they're interested in talking uh, to Phil Spencer about
Who isn't?
who. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm interested. So you know,
Yeah.
you're interested.
We're
We're all
all
interested.
interested in talking to Phil Spencer. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he seems chill. He seems chill. But they're interested in talking with him and probably Xbox, whatever, Microsoft, about um, working on Scalebound again. If and the way I took it, and probably would understand how this would work if there was ever a thing, not to get your hopes up here, is that they'd probably have to buy rights or IPs or whoever owns all that stuff away from Microsoft. I didn't get the um, I didn't get the idea that they were trying to work again with Microsoft, because Platinum Games and Microsoft were working together to build and release Scalebound. This more came across as a, like, again, I don't know who owns the IP, but or the code, but get that back and then have them finish it. But this was a team up and fight dragons game that was supposed to be an Xbox exclusive. Originally announced in 2017, I believe it was 2020 when it was canceled. I know a lot of people were excited about it. I unfortunately was not one of them, but it looked interesting, having a bunch of people fight very large dragons. But I know
Hmm.
the internet at large was not happy with the decision to cancel it. Who also, it's come out that it was neither Microsoft or Platinum's fault. It was kind of a team effort of just a bunch of missteps on both sides, some bad decisions. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah,
Sad.
yeah. So who knows? Maybe
Who knows?
maybe that will come at some point. we like to keep a happier and fun tone here, so we will try to present this in a happy manner. But so there was some not so fun news with Battlefield 2042 that came about in the last week.
Right.
It's had a little bit of a troubled launch that seems to just kind of continue so much that, as you mentioned, Rich, as we were chatting a little bit before the show, these generally seem to go nowhere. But the fact that it's growing kind of generates press and interest.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a petition out there to get refunds from EA for Battlefield 2042 because it's still in. I don't speak from experience. I haven't played since the beta, but apparently still in a very, very, very bad shape. And customers are not happy.
Yeah. Yeah, they still aren't super happy about it. I think that they actually had just delayed some some updates just recently. Is that
And
what we talked about like a couple weeks ago, that they were delaying some
yeah,
stuff?
yep, and that was some of the other bad news. So I guess the petition isn't. I mean, that's more news. The bad news, I guess, I should have started with this, was that they came out this week saying that they were delaying season one till sometime this summer. That was supposed to be out next month, early
Yep.
March.
Ouch.
Um, they did say, and this was one of those kind of, I think this was I don't remember if it's 24 or 48-hour period, but they came out with a bunch of this news, kind of some updates that they're going to be bringing. Um, so they're like, hey, season one is delayed till early summer, but we have an update coming here mid-February. So what I would have imagined next week, as of recording this, was going to bring a bunch of bug fixes, some fixing issues and addressing community feedback, some adding scoreboard and some scoreboard changes there, voice chat, player profile stuff. Um, so a lot of that was supposed to come next week, but again, within, I don't remember if it was 24 or 48 hours of announcing season one was delayed. They also then came out and said this update was going to be pushed to next month. So I think it was just kind of this culmination of uh, a lot of people are unhappy, right? The game's busted, and then they were excited
Mm-hmm.
for season one. Okay, well that got delayed, and then within a couple of days, this patch was supposed to address a few things. Um, I don't know if there's a scoreboard added yet. I know it's going to be this iterating process where they're putting something out if it's not out there already, and then adding to it and updating it and kind of taking feedback and improving it. But I think that really kind of probably added fuel to the fire that caused this petition to kind of blow up and start, catching some of the news outlets and
Yeah.
having them report on it.
But then again, yeah, like I mean, with these change.org petitions, I really want to know, have they actually changed anything? I
I
honestly don't know.
I don't
I
know.
know there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of people who like to use that, but I don't know
Yep.
if it actually makes an impact on anything.
I mean, I think in a way here, whether or not the petition itself goes anywhere, I think the bad press is not good for EA, who, as we reported the other week, is already unhappy with the situation that Battlefield
Mm-hmm.
2042 is in.
Right.
Um,
I mean, they're rapidly losing faith in this game,
yeah, and
if not already lost it.
it and I think when we chatted about this a couple weeks ago, I kind of brought up how it's a little different franchise because it's an established one, unlike Anthem. But a lot of this was like, if EA higher ups execs are losing faith in it, it was a similar thing that happened to Anthem, right? But again, I have a little bit more faith in Battlefield because it is an established franchise. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't believe that they'd pull the plug on it, but I imagine they're going to put effort into, well, finishing the game,
Right.
finishing/fixing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I mean, probably with all the pandemic stuff, and this probably got rushed out the door too. Not only that, but I feel like, I mean, just the overall, from what I have played of this, I mean, this almost seems like it was a really good case for why you shouldn't be reinventing the wheel. You know, they had a lot of systems in place from previous Battlefield games that kind of set a really, really strong precedent why people love Battlefield games. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
the destructible environments, the vehicle, the combined arms combat is what a lot of people really like. The classing system is usually very nicely balanced in terms of what sort of toolkits you get to use and what you can bring to your overall squad, which leads into like a nice squad gameplay where you actually get to group up with a bunch of people, and it does, you can make an impact on the overall game, at large. And
Hmm.
they had a lot of these systems in place, but then they decide, well, let's do away with the classes, let's bring in specialists because people like hero character. They like the hero, they like identifiable characters, they like this sort of stuff.
Hmm.
Let's not put in these sorts of features that, I mean, they which is kind of funny because like EA as a publishing company has a bunch of games under its belt that have done sort of things to kind of move the bar forward. Like take for instance Apex Legends. They really, really capitalized on making that ping system phenomenal. They could
Hmm.
have just used that. Like, they're one of the things they're talking about improving is the ping, improving the pinging system because it felt really bad to use. I mean, when we played the beta, it felt terrible then too. Um, but I think, yeah, like with all of this stuff in place, they really didn't have to like go and sort of reinvent all these systems. What they really did to push the bar forward, in my opinion, is that whole portal system really, really enhancing that sort of customizability of playing Battlefield, which is
Hmm.
great in my opinion. I still stand by like that's one of the coolest features and something that I think could have really, really sold the game. It's the closest thing to a Forge mode in a Battlefield game. And that's great. Like that is how you keep players around for a really, really long time, is allowing them to make content once they've sort of, played the hell out of your existing content. If you need time to make more content, you let the players kind of leverage that, carry that load for a while. You give them the tools to do so. I don't know.
I I was looking back a little bit and kind of thinking back to when were reporting a lot about this game last year, and although I don't think it's as in rough a shape, again, not having really played either of these games, but I really got the feeling that they were hyping up Battlefield 2042 so much and showing you a lot of gameplay, and then they gave you something different, very similar to what Cyberpunk did, right? If you remember a
Mm,
lot of the media around that. I was watching a little bit of a video today, and it was kind of comparing, hey, here's a trailer you showed last year with all this stuff. I think the one thing was destructibility, and it's some cool simulated models of destruction, and then you hop into this game, and a dude shoots a tank at a building, and it's like just fine. So,
mm-hmm.
um, again, not really having played either of those games, I can't speak to how deep those issues go, but it did have me thinking today. It's like, it really feels like kind of a little bit of like a bait and switch. Like, here's the hype machine went. This was the next iteration. This is the next gen Battlefield, and it's not really. So
It's just how it is sometimes.
it is what it is. But yeah, hopefully they can figure that out, get that game working, because I'd love to play another Battlefield again. I guess I own a couple of old ones. Could always go back. But
Mm-hmm.
to continue on,
The sad train.
yeah, we did. This is the last one. Again, I feel like I need to present this. You ever watch Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes, I've seen
When
it.
yeah, and then was it Prince John or whatever? Right? No, what's his name? I don't remember. Yeah, Prince John and the sheriff of Nottingham or whatever came in, and I got some bad news. He's like, I hate bad news. Why don't you present the bad news like in a good way? And he's just like, you ever watch that movie?
Yes, yes.
The sheriff just starts laughing. It's like, yep, Robin Hood came in and kicked our ass. He's coming to get you off the throne. And I think it's how we got to present some of this news in the future.
We got to present our
So,
bad news, but in a positive way.
um, this isn't too terrible. It's just more kind of we'd like to see a little bit more out of 343 and their communication here. Out of or at the end of last year, they were going to try to have a roadmap sometime
Right.
in January. Um, it is now about a week, a little over a week into February, and we still don't have any updates or roadmap on co-op, mission replayability, Forge, or any other just content in general, maps or
Mm-hmm.
this or that. So it's just kind of
Wow. Well,
unfortunate. I wish there was some of that information.
but it sounds like they've been kind of heads down fixing other things and
Yep,
not so much working on some of the big features that we were hoping for or come, I don't know, a few months from now. One of those things being, I mean, this isn't bad news.
this is good
BTB
news.
works.
Yeah.
BTB works again. I could actually play.
And although you might be split from your squad, they also added the ability that if you jump in with a party,
They're
they,
highlighted.
they're highlighted so you know that
Yeah.
they're your friends.
Their
So
names are in green now. Like so I can actually see where my buddies are. And that's
they,
good.
yep.
Yay.
And they will be working. They did say they will be working on actually addressing the real issue in the future and keeping you in a squad. But this was kind of a short term quick fix that they were
Mhm.
able to do. So the other good news, and it was funny because it's a few days earlier before they announced this, me and my cousin were playing, and we were just we were in a game with four people, and two of the other dudes on our squad left, and the bots are terrible. They finally, as of last Tuesday, or I guess a week and a half ago, or whatever it is now, um, up the difficulty of bots when they jump into your game whenever other real
People
humans
leave and
leave.
all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're moving them from Marine to ODST difficulty. So I have not played since this update. Have you had any matches where you've noticed
Not with
bots
bots.
playing in their?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't play a lot with bots.
Well, this is like when you're playing, you hop into Slayer or something, Team Slayer. Um, if and it's 4v4, right? If there's one or two people that leave, or three, I guess if you're going solo, um, other humans, if any of those humans drop, they fill the fourth, third, fourth, whatever, however many people left with bots. So there are times you've probably played with bots in a Team Slayer match where, if you haven't seen them there, but they're
Mhm.
there. Kind of like Battlefield, I think, does that whenever they don't.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
game.
A
Yeah,
lot of
there's a
games
lot
that
of
do that.
games that do this. I mean, this isn't a new thing. This has been going back since like early first person shooter, online multiplayer games. Like even Counter-Strike of old had that sort of a thing where if you had, gaps in your teams or something like that, you could set it so that it fills with bots.
Yep. So they've upped the difficulty of them, so they might be a little bit more helpful. All I know is me and my cousin were pissed because those bots
Are
were
they
just
good?
feeding. This was before they upped
Oh,
it.
the old
Those
bots.
bots were
Yeah, they're
just
pretty bad.
feeding the other team kills. We looked at them. There was like, I think one was like 1 in 15. The other one was
Are
like
you sure it was a
2
bot?
in 13. Yeah, because they all start with
I've had people on my
they,
team that go just as bad.
yeah. No, they were bots. But yeah. The other thing, have you played any ranked matchmaking yet? As
Oh,
this
lots.
has the updates there been fixed? I know they reset the CSR on it.
No, they haven't yet, but they're going to.
Oh, that's okay.
No, that's in the plans coming forward. They're going to be resetting the matchmaking, or they're going to be resetting ranks midway through the season. And I think one of the there's a lot of speculation as to why they're going to be resetting the ranks, but I think a lot of it has to do with, um, in general, there are a bunch of problems with ranked. Um,
Hmm.
for one, there is a currently an ongoing theory right now that some people on Reddit are trying to prove. It's got some pretty substantial evidence, but basically, it's your social matchmaking rating is carrying over into your ranked matchmaking. So you have basically an invisible CSR when you play your games to help feed the matchmaking algorithm, right? So if you play really well in social games, you start getting matched with better people in social, et cetera, et cetera. And vice versa. If you play worse, it'll bring you down. The problem is that that's actually getting carried over into ranked games. So what people have been experimenting with is they go into social games, they absolutely bomb their scores, like, your 1 in 15 bot level of,
Yeah.
scores, and they'll have a whole bunch of games where they do that. And then what they do is they hop into ranked And even though that their rank is the same, that doesn't affect their actual rank. They'll still get matched with lower ranked players or players of that sort of CSR caliber, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
you'll be matched with bad players in ranked as well. So if you're an Onyx player and you're bombing your CSR, you could get matched with somebody who is, platinum,
Yeah.
gold, silver.
Bombing yourself in, like, the regular non-ranked matches,
Right.
right?
In non-ranked, you
And
can tank your score to lower your CSR, and then you go into ranked, and then you play against people who have similar CSR to that, even though you have an Onyx matchmaking ranking. That's the
Mhm.
ongoing theory. There's also a bunch of other. I mean, of course a whole bunch of problems going on with ranked right now. I mean, I think the fact that for now, I mean, I have a screenshot that I posted in our Discord where that I think I posted in our Discord, but I'm sitting at around 1560 Onyx right now. I get matched with somebody who is silver, I think 2. So we're talking, what is that? Gold, platinum, diamond, onyx. That's 4 whole divisions of separation.
Mhm.
There's no reason that should ever happen. Like that poor guy got
Yeah.
absolutely destroyed, and the score kind of shows it. And like,
Mhm.
there's no like, he wasn't on my team, fortunately, but like for the other team, that's just complete BS. It might as well be a 3v4, you
Yeah.
know. And that happens too in ranked games. Like, you have a lot of games where some people just don't end up connecting to the match. So how, like, if you leave a game, it'll show the player's name, but it'll be like
Mhm.
like darkened out
Yep.
after they've left. They don't even show up in the list. So
Yeah.
you'll just end up getting dumped in with 3 people against 4. And of course, it'll
Mhm.
be like a capture the flag game or something like that,
Yeah.
like an objective game where you have no chance of actually pulling that off. And yet
Mhm.
again, you'll still, I mean, depending on how the matchmaking system works, you can still lose a whole bunch of matchmaking rank for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So plenty of problems. That's why I think they're going and resetting the ranks, because the ranks are pretty messed up right now.
Mhm. Yeah, no, there's, I definitely haven't played as much as you, and I haven't played ranked, but there's definitely a lot of odd things going on
Well, I
in
mean,
multiplayer.
if you go and check, like if you go and just kind of browse the subreddit for Halo, if you
The
go and
salt
look
mine.
at yeah, if you go and look at like the kind of the Halo YouTube community, um, you can kind of get a general sentiment on what's going on. I mean, a lot of people are pretty frustrated that that there's not a lot of content. There's a lot of busted features. The ranking system feels really bad, and you get punished really hard for losses, and you get not so punished for wins, or you get barely anything for wins, or something like
Mhm.
that. Um,
Yeah.
amongst the whole host of problems. And I think a key one is just the lack of content as well, is what a lot of
And
people are railing on.
and again, I think this past week there's been a lot of frustrations with the promise of a roadmap and addressing Forge co-op replayable missions, and now we're getting into February. So,
Right. I mean, to be
yeah.
fair, funny enough, I mean, we've been like we I think all the way back to like to the dawn of like our Stadia and Anthem days, we've been kind of memeing on roadmaps and how much of a buzzword that kind of is too,
Mhm.
because even like a lot of those games, when they released these roadmaps, they did not stick to those roadmaps very closely,
Yeah.
and they change quite regularly.
Well, my thing, and this is conspiracy theory me,
Oh,
um, I'm wondering if the delay in communicating and trying to figure out timelines is another delay for co-op Forge replayable missions, things that people are looking for, or not great news on addressing things like the desync issues or the
Hmm.
matchmaking.
That's a
Um,
hard. I mean, to be fair, that's a hard one to fix. But yeah, like the cheaters are a problem, which is
cheaters,
another
yep,
reason why they're resetting ranks. I think because there's a lot of cheaters that play.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's I think there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and I think they're probably trying to prioritize and then figure out how best they can sugarcoat it so that so
to
the
ease
community
the
doesn't
pain.
rise up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, I don't think there's going to be a whole ton that is going to make the community really jump up and get excited. And the
Yep.
numbers are starting to show that. I mean, remember how they were bragging about how Halo was like the number 1 on Steam, number 1 on game.
Hmm.
It is not in the top 100 in Steam anymore. And
Yep.
I don't think it's on Xbox's top 10,
I
top
think
5.
it got bumped out of the top 5. I
Yeah.
was getting I didn't write a lot of notes or get a lot of notes on that because I seem to get a lot of mixed information. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
at least by
It's
Steam,
it's pretty rapidly falling out of favor.
Steam numbers, which is usually a pretty decent gauge. Um, although this not the first Halo game on Steam, but kind of the first that would launch day one on Steam.
Mhm.
Um, Steam slash PC in general. Um, it's still being such a big platform. If it's dropping out of top 100, that yeah, that can not a good sign. So,
Right, right. I mean, if we're
but
looking at just by how many people are playing what, I'm just kind of looking through some numbers here. You know, things like New World is doing better than Halo Infinite. I mean, that had a lot of problems with it. Destiny 2 is also doing better than Halo Infinite.
hmm and that's at a
Because
low point, by the way, right? They're little bit of background there. They have actually in about a week or so, week and a half, they're having their yearly big expansion come out. So traditionally, before a big expansion, it's probably your lowest number of active players.
yeah.
So
Yeah, you kind of have
seeing
that
as
lull in content.
yeah, and seeing after only a few months after Halo Infinite came out, we're starting to come out of favor. That's not a good sign. So
Right.
um, but
They have
again,
a
as we discussed in our book club, there's a lot of good stuff to like about Halo Infinite, and the fun is there. Um, it's just yeah, needs a little bit more work. But
mhm.
but here's to hoping that it'll be a fully functional and fun game when it comes out of early access. So
Just had to
um,
had to twist
that's
the
what the
knife on
stuff.
that one. Yeah, you had to twist the knife on that one.
But yeah, so a little bit more kind of news around the industry around acquisitions. I know we've talked about a lot of that in the last couple weeks, but
Mhm. That's gonna be
um,
pretty common, I think, this year too.
some interesting news in the last week between the Microsoft Activision acquisition of Activision, um, and in something I don't know if we've ever talked in the podcast is Nvidia's acquisition of I think it's pronounced ARM, not ARM, but um, this deal with Nvidia started, I would say, year and a half ago. It's been a while,
It's been a while.
um, but recently it developed this week that Nvidia's backing out of it because of a lot of stiff regulation around the world, a lot of monopoly discussions coming up, different things like that. And the reason I'm kind of mentioning this, not just because it's Nvidia and they're related to gaming, but because this is potentially something we could see with the Microsoft acquisition of Activision, which we also got just a little bit of information, nothing big. They're not going to tell us anything big, but this week we found out that the FTC will investigate the acquisition of Activision. So I keep
The
sorry.
Activision acquisition proposition.
So for people out there that are not hope or that are hoping that the Microsoft acquisition of Activision doesn't go through, I mean, there's always that little bit of hope. Who knows what's going to come back with all this regulation and whether or not it's going to actually end up going through. We already said it's going to be, they're estimating not till like June of next year, 2023, before a lot of this stuff is finalized. But it is such a big purchase, and it will bring up conversations on if Microsoft will have a monopoly. Now a bunch of their lawyers are kind of, obviously, I'm sure they're well prepared way before they ever made this announcement, so I'm sure they've got things to argue against that. But just more of a with this little bit with Nvidia and ARM is that there are times that these acquisitions may not actually happen,
Mm-hmm.
so there is, for those of you that don't want Microsoft to get Activision, you're saying there's a chance, right?
There's a
um,
chance. Although I'm kind of curious, yeah, like how many of you think that this thing is a good thing or a bad thing? Please come on our Discord and let us know. I
yeah,
really, really want to hear, what the general community has to say about that.
yeah. Again, we've said it before, we're mixed, we're both happy and kind of
Skeptical, yeah.
skeptical, right? Because we think for a lot of studios this is beneficial. We've talked about Double Fine before, and Mojang and different things like that. And then there's the discussion of, well, we don't want Microsoft and Sony owning everything,
Right.
because it's nice to have things that are independent or third party, and things like that. I know I was very frustrated seeing all these these news articles coming out on sites after the Bungie and the Activision acquisitions, being like, who's Sony gonna buy next? Who's Microsoft? Like, we don't want that. Like, at least I personally don't want that. I don't want it just to be Microsoft Studio or a Sony Studio. Like, have
Mm-hmm.
variety, have different companies and different people making different decisions, so we get variety.
Yep.
But
Variety is a good thing.
yep. And for those of you wondering, when is Nintendo gonna, start acquiring or making moves or something? There was a little bit of information of that came out this week. Activision is acquiring all the other studios that Sony and Microsoft haven't got to yet. So your Segas, your Konamis, your Capcoms. I'm just kidding. They're not buying anybody, so, or acquiring anybody. Basically, Nintendo came out this week, and basically said, in short terms, Nintendo will continue to be Nintendo, right? We're going to keep investing in our studios and our product and try to grow internally. Now, that doesn't mean that things like acquisitions couldn't happen, but they're more focused on investing in themselves and their
Yeah.
people and their studios, which I think is a great thing. Um,
Yeah, it's a good
so
thing.
it was nice to hear Nintendo kind of speak up to all this crazy acquisition news that has been happening the last, especially couple weeks.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think Nintendo's always kind of had sort of a weird relationship with third parties
Hmm.
and working with a lot of people that aren't direct first parties already. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, that seems like it just seems like a very Nintendo thing to say, right? Like that. Yeah, it is Nintendo
yeah,
being kind of Nintendo,
yeah. Which again, I mean,
which is
there's
okay. Like that's fine. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong with that.
they've proven that it works. I mean, obviously, there are some things you wish they do a little better. I know that a lot of the online systems for years were one of those, right? Um, I know from every time there's a new generation that comes out, especially we talked about this the other year when the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X was launching, was like, oh, are we going to get our famed Nintendo Switch Pro, right? Because graphics, right? We're getting upgrades in PlayStation and or Xbox there, but yeah, no, it's good to see. It's good to see them continuing to invest in themselves and their studios and their people.
Absolutely.
So
And that is that.
yeah, you got any other comments, thoughts? It's
No.
kind of
Oh,
the end.
I wanted to post to you because I have it here.
Okay.
Just posting you a little screenshot, kind of going back a little bit to the Halo stuff. These are the numbers from Steam charts. I love looking at Steam charts because it's nice to see the trend on where things are going. That is the player count for Halo Infinite right there. The
For
overall player
Steam.
counts for Steam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from November to December, they already almost halved. Well,
Over
for
halved.
every month except for, I guess, well, we don't know February's numbers. That's just an average of the last 30 days.
Right.
So November was 102, December was 51. This is thousands, by the way,
And this is average players,
an average.
not
And this
peak.
is January was 23,000. So it's yeah, 50%,
Less
a
than
little
a
more.
quarter.
Not good numbers. Again, I mean, Infinite's played across, Xboxes and obviously, was it Xbox app on PC or whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
calling it now. So,
Right.
um, but again, I mean,
You have your
Steam's.
Xbox numbers and you have basically your Steam numbers.
Mhm,
I know probably not super reflective, but I can imagine that a lot of people playing it, at least on a PC level,
are probably on Steam.
probably on Steam. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of goes inside with like, there's probably some issues with like controller versus mouse and keyboard, that sort of thing. But I think that's probably the people who are really, really worried about that and who are quitting the game over that, I think are in the minority because I think a lot of the people who still like the game are probably either just switching to controller or they're just saying, screw it, deal with it. That's kind of the camp I'm in right now. Is I'm playing ranked on mouse and keyboard, no regrets, and I'm still Onyx 1560 ish.
Hot,
So
hot, hot take from Mike. Jeez. Oh well, I'm sorry. Wrong message. Wrong message. Not a hot take.
not a hot take. No.
No. But yeah. So no, it's. I just hope it doesn't turn into a Master Chief collection where we have to wait too long for it to be
Done.
good,
Working. I mean,
finished.
funny enough, I could probably check the Steam charts on that too.
Yeah, I mean that took like 5 years before it was good, but
Those numbers are pretty low too.
yeah,
I mean, you're
probably
kind of, yeah, you're looking at kind of a, what is this? The last 30 days, about an average of 4,000 players.
Hmm.
So I mean, Halo Infinite is approaching that at 18,000 over the last 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's not looking great, but not bad either.
Well, whatever happens with Halo Infinite, you will hear us talk about it.
Yes.
Although it doesn't seem like it sometimes, we are big Halo fans. It's this is all
There's nothing but love in this house for Halo.
this if it's criticism, or it's not hate. It's just, what is it? What did I think I compared this last
It's like
year? It's
watching your
like
kid
you love
get,
all your kids, but you might be disappointed in one every
right.
now and then.
No, it's like watching your kid grow up, right? And your kid is now going to school, and he's getting towards the, he's getting kind of late in school, and he's getting a lot of bad grades right now. And you're just like, I know you can do better. You've been a straight A student since the 7th grade, and
Yeah.
now what's going on? What?
Are you on the drugs?
You on the drugs?
You doing that marijuana? On that note,
On that note,
we really appreciate you listening to our podcast here. We really enjoyed having you.
Yes, we do.
Thanks for joining me today, Rich, on the podcast.
Likewise.
Be sure to, I'm going to promote this one first. Be sure to join our Discord.
Yes.
Come out and say hi, join the conversation. Again, check us out at campfiregamingpodcast.com, where we have links to all our social media sites. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, whatever it is for whichever site it is. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You know how that works by now, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But
mm-hmm.
On that note, it was a pleasure having you. We'll see you next time around the campfire.